this little area where there's some damage here that I basically repaired this off camera a couple weeks back, and I'm just now getting back to it and doing the body work. So we got some spots here that we had to feather out, but we're gonna look at this tailgate really well, make sure there's no small little dents, because we're gonna fix everything. Because what we're doing on the tailgate is we're gonna go do a Patina airbrush on this. So this thing needs to look really good, and it's gonna look really good because it's got the Chevrolet stamped into it. So this is an aluminum tailgate, so it's fairly easy to work on. So I'm gonna start with this little mess over here. I'm gonna go ahead and just get this block out. I like to take these blocks, make sure they're clean, and look straight down, because they like to get an arch in them a little bit in the center, and that will screw up your body work. That's if you're using Durablocks, which a lot of people still use Durablocks. So basically what I'm going to do here is I can see my high spots now, but I'm going to take it and sand that edge off a little bit. Basically what this is doing is giving me a real good idea on how bad that is. So there's a huge high spot right here, so I'm gonna go ahead and take that out real quick. Sometimes you make that a little lower because it's so heaved up, and then I'll shape it with my files that I have over here. You can do that with aluminum to a certain degree though. So I'm going to take my file, I'm going to start cutting slowly with the file. And I don't want to keep doing this a lot. You just want to get that aluminum straightened out a little bit better. That way when you apply your filler, there's not a whole bunch of filler being applied and necessary high spots from you picking at it. Because aluminum, you can poke at it real easy when you hit it, and it's hard to get it back down. So we're getting that there pretty close. They'll feel pretty good to where I feel comfortable putting bond over it. It's still kind of high right here. So when I got this tailgate, this was completely pushed in right here, so to even get it drawn out this much is just pretty good. So, like again, like I said, there's going to be some filler that's going to be up here where your molding is going to sit, but it's not going to be terrible. I'm just going to go ahead and leave that. I'll try this one time. Sometimes this will work. Take that punch. Alright, that's pretty close. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this file and get that over. This is an aluminum tailgate. Basically, I already gotten all the damage out. Like I said, this was completely caved in here. and I got all that straightened out. There's just a few spots here and there that need to be addressed. This is where it was really bad, so what I'm doing is shaving a little bit of that aluminum off so my filler's not too thick, and I'm getting this really just a simple repair. You can actually straighten aluminum if you had the time with heat and rods and massaging the back, and then you go through and file it, and then you could then sand it out to where it looked like it was never even touched. That's the cool thing about aluminum. So we got it feeling pretty good now. I feel like it needs a little bit more, and we can put some body filler on, but we're gonna get some other spots addressed. And then there's a bunch that needs to be put in right here, because this, again, was completely caved in. And it was screwed up pretty bad. Alright, so we got that file done pretty good. This feels like there's a slight red spot right in this region. So we're going to leave that, because sometimes with aluminum you'll be hitting here and then flow out over here, and just kind of back and forth, and you kind of just have to just get it the best you can, and then go back through and cut it a little bit more. Of course it is getting a little bit thinner, we are cutting aluminum, but we can apply body fillers. With this tailgate normally I would apply fiberglass, but what we're going to do on this one, just so I can get an airbrush, we're just going to apply body filler, because the reason I would put fiberglass is to add that extra reinforcement there over this, and it really bites into the aluminum. Fiberglass does a really good job doing that. Then again, body filler sometimes will bite in a little bit better to aluminum, because you can get it pretty ground in there. So I don't know, it varies. But in this instance, we're going to just use body filler, and we're going to get going on with this so we can get it airbrushed. Alright, now that I got that really close, you can see how wobbly this is, and basically there's going to be a little bondo there, but it's alright because it dips in, and I'm able to get that line built back up for my trim over there at work, so it fits right in there. So we're going to head and leave that alone. This one's dipped in a little bit, but again, it's one of the things where if you push on it, it's going to screw up the area, and it's not really that big. We're just trying to get it ready so we can get it airbrushed. So basically everything is taken care of on here, but I'm going to look over it one more time, make sure there's no little dents here and there, because again we're going to have to reprime this before I apply that patina, because you will see the body work no matter what we do to it. So we gotta get that coated in, and at least I'll feel better about it instead of just painting it. So I'm gonna find a decent rag around here. Now I'm gonna take 80 grit on the block there, and I'm gonna sand this whole area because we're gonna mud this whole area. But I had to do some shaving there with the aluminum. But now, and this was smashed in now. This was completely smashed in like this because something hit it. It's aluminum, so it's easy to do. For me to get this all the way out, which I should have probably done on camera, I didn't get it on camera, but to get it out where it is now and to fix that to where it just needs a skim coat. There might be a high spot here, a little bit maybe right there, but we'll see once we get that stretched out over there across that. But it's feeling pretty good. How I straightened it was, I think, just a regular hammer, and then you take another hammer and smack that hammer, and it just kept pulling it out. That's what I like about aluminum, is it's really easy to work with. If you know what you're doing, it's really easy to work with. With aluminum, sometimes it's easier stuff that will get the damage out than it is just going straight forward to, oh shoot, I gotta pull it. If you massage that aluminum sometimes, it'll pop right out. Like, I'm not even joking. So it's almost, just think of a pop can, a soda can. It's the same concept in a way, it really is. If you have a dent over here that's wobbly, if you go whoop, 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 it could pop that dent back out and you're good to go. That's how aluminum works. It's just to me, it's a really easy metal to work on. A lot of people don't like it, but I think it's the easiest sheet metal to work on. And if you really were good with it with PDR, you could sit here and massage this whole tailgate to where it didn't need body filler, whereas steel, you could do it, but you're having a hell of a time trying to get that. Like, I guess the Cybertrucks, that'll be some kind of way someone's gonna have to straighten that metal so close, or they're gonna replace the panel, or they're gonna be wind up painted. But there's that they would have to finish and then sand and then polish it out to make it look like what the original Cybertruck looks like. That's a whole different experience with that vehicle versus having a vehicle paint on it. It's the same thing as the DeLorean. The DeLorean looked good when it came out, but if it got screwed up, it was really hard to repair that aluminum. But it is easier than you think, because you could sit there and massage that out, like I said, and then polish it out, and you would never know you're gonna accident it. If you want, there's high-end Porsches and stuff like that out there on YouTube where people go and repair them, and that's how those cars have to be repaired, where they use no body filler. So it's amazing how well those people can do that stuff. It's just very time-consuming. I don't even think a PDR person could probably do that. It's crazy amount of time they have in it. What? No. Alright, so alright, so now what I'm gonna do, so I don't miss them, is I like to take 180 or whatever, something that's gonna scratch it, and mark the areas I see. But mark the whole entire width of the Bondo would be right off the bat, right like that. That needs to be an area about big. Alright. So you'll keep doing that. You look at that panel, look down that panel. And if you see a spot, now I'm not worried about the ones down here, because that's just sampling issues. I ain't gonna worry about that. But the ones up here, I know there's a big one right here. That's right here. So would mark them. And if you look down on the side, I know you guys can't see, you can see where you scratch it, and you just take the sandpaper and take all the stuff. Now I don't like to use 80 on small dents, because sometimes you're just doing excessive work for no reason. You're putting severe scratches into it. It's gonna bite better with 180 scratches, sometimes better than 80 scratches, and the reason is the grains on the paper are tighter. When you get into 80 grit, they're bigger grains, but they're spaced further apart. So hence why when you sand something with 80 grit, you got clear spots, still shiny paint in between. That's why you keep using it. You're like, oh, I still see it. Hit it with 180. Now it's still putting the scratches in there, but the grains are tighter, so it allows you to hit those passes a lot faster. You don't have to get aggressive with applying a thin coat of body filler. Now, if you're doing excessive repair damage, that's where you got to start getting the grinders out and the fiberglass. But if you're hitting a small dent like this, like I would 80 grit a little bit where the dent is in there, but other than that, that body filler is gonna cling to that. Especially if it's a putty, if it's a polyester. If it's one of those, it's gonna cling even harder, because it likes to cling better to that than it does 80 grit, to be honest with you. So we got this dent here, and there's some more. There's one right here, of course, that we've already sanded that one out. These spots in here are just areas that it's just bad paint. I'm just gonna feather that out a little bit. I didn't see no dents in there, I don't feel no dents. Maybe I ought to block it right there, but I'm gonna hit this area where this excessive damage was with 80 grit now, because I want to file a lot of the high spots out, and I gotta hit this up here with 80 and not 80. I don't want my filler coming out of that area, but now, like I said, I'm gonna hit 80 in this little low spot, but we're talking little spots where you can barely see it, 180 it. You don't have to 80 it, it's gonna screw you up because you're chasing out 80 scratches in a small area. So, but your excessive damage areas where you gotta get your 80 grit out and get the area where you sand it. I'll do a light sand on it because your material is not gonna bond to it correctly. And me personally, if the paint is adhered very, very well to the vehicle, I like to keep my scratches in my paint and material on there because it seems to cling better on some products that you use, better to the paint versus bringing it all the way to the metal. Now, personally, if you're bringing it to the metal, you need to get some deep scratches in the metal, because if you start bringing that up to 320 on steel, you'll see where whenever you have your fillers on there, where there's a edge where it looks like you could take your fingernail on there. It's because it don't want to bite into that steel. So for your fillers to stick heavy to that, you gotta bring a really heavy grit on that. See there, we sand a lot of them high spots down. It's feeling real good. That's what I like about aluminum, is your 80 grit's actually gonna start sanding on the aluminum. Whereas steel, it's gonna just tear up the sandpaper if you try sanding it. Whereas aluminum will accept the scratches and start cutting away. that shaped very close to getting back to where it was. Of course, there's some severe damage that was done to it, so there's areas that you ain't gonna get back. But for the most part, that's not bad to bring it back that much there. So we're gonna come in here. We're leaving this little high spot in here. You won't see it, and it's just a waste of time to repair. But we are gonna cut along this edge because we gotta get this cleaned up. Now we're gonna get that file back out. We're gonna come in here. Now I'm gonna use this one. And we're gonna come in here. Okay, that didn't work. We're gonna use this one, start filing along this edge. That's right here. Alright, there, that's better, that's better. So we're reshaping this high spot out of here. So when I put my mud on here, I fix that little area right there because the trim mounts up to that. Gonna cut in there pretty good. Alright, so now we're going to clean it up with the 80 grit on the block. Now if you really wanted to, you could get a straight edge out and see if you're high here, you could tap it down, whatever, but I think we're going to be alright there. Now we've done all this and we still haven't even applied body filler yet. But it's important, I think, it makes your job easier and less bondo. So we shape that aluminum up a little bit. So when I go put my fillers in here, it's not going to be that heavy and it's going to be a simple little repair job instead of trying to fill these massive craters. Call out enough for cutting on that. We're going to apply some filler to that. But before we do that, we're going to take the 80 grit off the block. And we're going to go through and hit these low, make sure we hit them low spots. Because you ain't going to get it with the block, so you got to get it with your hand because it's a low spot. Don't putty over that. Don't think it's going to be good. It's going to let go right there, right where the dent was. Don't do that. Make sure you get it, everything sanded very well. So we're gonna hit this area with the block because it feels like there's some low spots, and we'll find out real quick. Some of them might even be able to sand out the way this aluminum works. Gotta make sure that's not gonna show up as being your highest spot. You might not feel it well, but you should think theoretically if that's dented in like that, it's gonna wanna blow out the bottom. So you should just go ahead and start shaving on that while you're in that area. You see that high spot will develop. You need to just shave it out of it a little bit. Alright, so that's going to be good enough for Bodywork. Yep. Alright, I think we're good on everything else. We're not done yet. We still got to go through and sand it. I'm just going to wipe some of this dust off and look at it one more time. Now, this is very crucial. You guys go through and do all this before you start applying body filler. You just don't go in a situation applying body filler. You got to think, how can I get this level pretty close where I'm not just splitting a ½ inch body filler in something. So you have to get all that straightened out. So when I apply my body filler, I don't have to worry about this whole clump falling off if someone hits it. Here in this situation, it's just going to be a tiny little spot where I need body filler. Versus this whole thing where it's going to just fall off. It's really important. You don't need to load it up with Bondo. You don't. Bondo's not always a good thing. It's a body filler. You can get the damage most of the part all the way out. You'd want that besides putting the body filler in. But in most cases, you're not going to get it 100%. That's why we need to use body filler. So that's good enough. So now we're going to take a hand grip, hit those low spots by hand, and then we're going to start applying body filler. And I'm using a U-Pole filler I've had for a little bit. Hopefully it's still good. We'll find out. So it's not a terrible product. It does have some pinholes. So I'm going to see how well this goes with how many pinholes are in it. And if I need to get a putty, I'll buy some. It's not always bad to put a glazing putty over your body filler because it helps get all these heavy, whenever you're sanding the body filler with heavy scratches, it helps get those basically feather edges from that out, and then it just spreads out, and then it's just easier to prime over the one. The good thing about this is if there is damage in this area, it gets lost in this valley. So it's really, sometimes the contour of the vehicle, you can hide damage in. Not saying that you want to, but you could hide a Bondo kind of feather edge per se. Alright, let's get some body filler on it and get something done. I can stand on this and feel like I got it smooth all night. But we'll get the rest of the way body filler. That's what, a little, I know I can get it closer, that's why I'm all like, oh, okay, I can make that better. Because you can shape it easier, you know? Where it's steel, it's not, you can't shape it as well. It's a lot, it's really hard, so, yeah. So there's a few scratches here, so I don't forget. I'm gonna go ahead and 180 them. Alright, so let's get our body filler ready. So like I said, I got this U-Pull. Now I'm going to take some rubbing alcohol real quick on a rag. It'll be alright if it's this one. And we're going to clean this panel off. A lot of people don't clean their panels and then apply the body filler. But I think it's important because you get all the dust out of those scratches that you're trying to adhere your product to. So personally, I think it's important to give your panel a good cleaning with some kind of alcohol of some sort before you apply body filler. That way you can get the maximum adhesion that you possibly can. And it's simple. That way you, because I mean I'm guilty of it. Sometimes you're in a hurry and you're like, screw it. You wipe over it and your first little coat, you're wiping dust off in front of your Bondo, and you're like, ah, shit. You don't feel good about it, and you're like, I should just clean it off. Just clean it off. And then you're good to go. And aluminum, I gotta be clean with it, so technically those files I just used, I can't use those on steel. I can't cross-contaminate, which I'm pretty sure I just did, because I used them on steel. But that's gonna be alright. So, this stuff is really liquidy, it's hot. I've had this for a little bit. We'll see how well it does. So we're just gonna do small little batches because it's extremely hot and it might set up pretty quick. So we're just gonna do small little spots. Actually, it might not flow out too bad here. I had to shake it up earlier and it might have put some bubbles in the ground. I think it'll be alright. So this is a weird pattern. I kind of go halfway. That seems like it might be too much, but it will be alright. Gotta get that mixed up real nice and well there. Once it starts getting real mixed up, you need to start moving because she's about to get hot. She is cooking. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and just address this situation now. I like to leave my body feel a little heavy because that's its job. We're here to sand it off. And I don't want to do it 6 times. So if I leave it a little heavy, I know I'm going to get it in one coat. gonna keep moving down. Now, I did get that aluminum pretty close, but there's a chance that I didn't get it real close to that spot. So apply filler over it anyways. Don't think that you got the spot because it feels good. Go ahead and fill your whole repair area with Bondo. You're not going to hurt nothing. And we've already prepped this really well, so that stuff's going to stick no matter wherever you put it. But you want it, whenever you're doing this, you want to get it sanded out a far distance in your repair area. You don't want to cut yourself short where you're applying over shiny material, because that's not the purpose of it. Now, I did lose where this low spot was in this, so you might have to add more. It's right there. We're going to go ahead and leave that one for you. But we'll cut that real easy with baby grit. It's real easy to cut it. Sometimes you can cut it right before it starts to get stiffened up, and it makes it easy. The only thing it does is clog your paper real bad, but you can cut it a lot faster, so then you can get to 180 quicker. But we're just gonna leave it there because it's not gonna take me much. Now what I'll do is go through areas where you slopped it up and you know you don't need no body filler. So just go ahead and take those crappy areas off. That way you're not in there later sanding that out of there, because I'd rather just get it off the spreader before it gets hard instead of going in there with my hand and trying to sand it, believe me. So clean it up. Not everyone's perfect. You ain't gonna get a nice clean swipe. You're gonna get some spillage in where your handle is. Just dig it out before it gets hard. Same thing, that's why you'll see me down here getting these things off. You can get it off the shiny paint real easy. Like we got slop on here. It's not a big deal, but you don't want it to let it get hard on there. Then you have to get the sandpaper out. So if you can catch all of it before it's on there, then you're good to go. See, we got it all off. The same thing over here. You can clean it up before it gets hard, but now it's starting to get a little bit more hard where it's not going to come off. So we're just going to flip this around, grab a new spreader over here. And we're going to mix up some more filler. So this one we're going to hit this spot, and there's another low spot here, and there's a tiny one. So we're going to try and hit 3 spots before it starts to get hard. So, and now it's really hot in here, so it's really, like, you don't even want to stay on this. That's how hot it is in here. Let's do about half a scoop there. Now, before I apply my hardener sometimes, because I like to take my spreader and dip out of the can. A lot of people use stirring sticks, which I believe is just the most messiest way to get Bondo out of a can. I just go in there. It's easier to just wipe your hand off and have a clean can. Not only that, but if you take the spreader and go like this around the can, you get every last drip out of the can. But besides that, what you'll do is like what I just did, is go through and clean your spreader off. Clean the spreader off, because you don't want to have Bondo all the way up here on your spreader and you're trying to mix it in with your hardener. It's only wanting to get halfway, so whenever you go through your panel and spread it on there, it has some unmixed product on there, or body filler pretty much, without the hardener, and it creates a mess, and then you're scraping it off, mixing it together, and then it just screwed up. So it's very important to go through, if there's a lot of slop on this, and get it off before you put your hardener in. Or you could use one that dip out of your bucket, whatever, and then use a brand new one to mix it. That's probably the best way to do it. Alright, so we're going to apply the hardener. we're gonna hurry up so we get this sanded, because it's going on about an hour video. If you can, please subscribe to the channel. We're gonna put a little bit less hardware in here. Maybe I said that, and it's the same one. But anyway, okay, please subscribe to the channel. We do major automotive content. I got new stuff every day. You see the Mini Cooper in the background. That is a live car. I do live videos for restorations. I do custom airbrush work. And that's what we're getting this tailgate right now to do, is we're gonna do a custom airbrush patina on it after I get it repaired. But when I got this tailgate, it was significantly damaged. It used to be a U-Haul truck tailgate, and I do collision repair for a living, so we had the tailgate after a job was repaired. So I went ahead and took it home. I didn't know I was going to repair it as much as I did, but it seemed to work out pretty good, and now I'm going to get it straightened out to where after I get it patinaed, if someone wanted to buy it, they can. If not, I'm going to hang it on the wall, and it's going to make a nice wall hanger. So we're going to be quick with this. You got to be quick with it because it's hot in here, and your product is getting real stiff. So we're going to load it up. Like I said, load it up. You can shave off, but I don't want to put more back on. We can, if we have to put more back on, I always like to not use body filler at that point. If I had to, use a putty. And we're going to hit the spot just in case there's a low spot there. I have no idea, but we're going to hit it. Alright, start me apart. Again, there's a low spot right here. I don't know how deep it was. Just load it up with the amount you think is proper. I think we got it. We're gonna hit this spot one more time. It gets hard, just in case. Hit right in the center where you think that dent was, just in case. But make sure it's on scuffed paint. Don't go applying it to shiny areas. Sometimes you do get it in the shiny areas, but make sure you are aware of that and you take it all off the shiny area. You don't want Bondo on shiny paint or anything that's shiny and not scuffed. That's really scuffed, because it will not bond at all. So I think that might be it. Do we have something to throw right here? Let's throw some right here. Yeah, we got a good mixture this time. It's not getting hard so fast. Let's just in case. I have no idea, but we can shave it all off if you have to. But just in case there's a low spot there. So I think we're sitting pretty good and we're ready to start sanding this. So we're going to start this time with a brand new piece of 80 grit. Now don't go too crazy cutting with this. Try to keep it in your repair. You don't need to be exceeding your repair area by a lot, because this is starting to get to the point where you're working on final stage before you get in primer. I know we haven't sanded the Bondo yet, and I'm talking about getting in primer. It still is part of the repair, so you don't have to get significantly repaired with the primer. So here, I want to keep it right here. I don't want to be all the way out here to get this, you know what I mean? I want to stay right here. That way I'm keeping that damaged area in a controlled sanding refurbish, or however you would say that. And I don't want to be out here like this sanding to get that, because theoretically I'm going to make that low anyways. I want to stay right here. I want to stay right where my damage was. And I like to sit here and block it. A lot of people would DA it, but I think if you block it, you get there quicker than trying to get DA and you create waffles and you put more mud over it. Now, if you know an area was not screwed up, you need to get this filler down to that edge. That way you know that your center is making the shape of everything. Because like I said, whenever we sanded this, we got this really close. I put it on here just in case. I mean, I know there's low spots here, but on this edge, I'm saying, in case there was a low spot in there, we're guaranteed to get it out with Bodywork. That way, you're not putting filler here, filler here. Just make it one thing, and you sculpt it all together. Now it's starting to get in that area where we started to shave it, where it means we're getting real close to where it needs to be. And you could get to a point where you're like, alright, that's getting close. Stop with the 80 grit. Get your 180 out. Finish off at that. That way you reduce your 80 grit scratches. Because you want to minimize it as much as you can. I'm not saying you have to get them all the way out every time, but when it comes to primary, it's less cover that you have to worry about scratches, and you're making sure that the primer that you're building is filling with potential low spots still in the bodywork, instead of trying to chase out deep ass scratches. Leave that there. Now remember, I shaved this before I started, so it made these. There's an indication there was a low spot here, which makes sense, and we're gonna leave it. So it's really close to where it needs to be, and it's gonna be all right. We know there was no damage up against this handle, so what we got to do is get that all the way off that handle. come in here and start shaping this line now. Now this is where the trim, this trim right here, meets up. Which I'm probably gonna sand this down since it's damaged and paint this. And I'll do something cool with this. But basically this area is where this meets up. So this has to look good here and over there so that this lip doesn't look stupid through there and you can see that there's body repair. So like I said, I went through and shaped that earlier. So now what we're doing is bringing our body filler down to that low spot that was in the aluminum. Now we're going to leave the sharp lines in there. I'm going to take a little out. And we can come through with 180 and get that cleaned up because the 80 is going to take a lot of it off and it'll screw it up. That 180 and it'll come out. Let's see back to this with the big spot over here. Thanks to the 4 people that was watching. So we're gonna go through and sand this. Leave it, hit it with 180, you don't have to take it all the way out. Now there was no damage on this edge, so start either chipping off, or you're going to have to go through and sand where there's no damage, because you don't need that body filler there. You don't need to leave body filler in an area that does not need it. Done. Might have put a little much on here, so we just got a little bit more sand in here. Alright, we're gonna have to get some new paper on because I'm fucking sanding like a motherfucker, dude. Woo! It's hot as shit in this garage. But we gotta get this done, guys. We're almost done. So we'll go through and 180 it from here, and it'll probably be good. And I'll call it a night. Good enough. We're gonna hit her with the 180 and it's gonna be good enough. important we get this area looking good, because this is the only reason I wanted to do this one. Because it has Chevrolet stamped into it. So what you can do, areas you got some slop on, you usually get flicked off with your finger or some kind of tool. But we're just going to sand it off now. Golly, guys, it's hot as shit in this garage. We're almost done. It's not easy doing bodywork. It's a workout of its own. A big workout. Alright guys, I gotta hurry up and get this done because I'm freaking sweating just terrible. No one's fucking watching it on there. Alright, so just get your ducks on the floor. Whatever. Get somewhat cleaned up again, whatever. We're almost done. We got it repaired. Now there's some pinholes I see that have developed, but we're not gonna issue that today. We'll probably figure that out at a later time. So go get your block again. Let's get the 180 on it. And then we're gonna sand over all that again. And it'll be pretty good. could go back after you 180 and then primary, but I'm gonna go ahead and 320 this when I'm done, and then paint the whole feather with 320. That way, whenever I get to my putty, I can really just address my pinhole situation. Take that radius, keep shaping it. There was damage on this radius now. Same thing here. It's sweat all over the place. You don't have to shade a lot here. More or less where you're on getting our 80 scratches out of the random metal here. That's what I'm kind of focused on because I know I got my bodywork pretty close. Now we'll go through get that through. So that's going to look good. I'm going to kind of hit this ever so lightly, a little bit. Focus on the areas where your 80 grit was. Now in this situation, we're going to do that by hand because we're going to screw up with this block. Again, over here, get this one out. Now you're going to get that feather edge all the way out on this now. With the 180s. You feel a little more comfortable getting that panel strapped with the 180 than you do with the 80. So you can really get that feathered out real nice and help feathered out from this one. Good. You can't really feel it on the Alright, get this all cleaned up. Really good. Good enough. Alright, stand the rest of this out. Do that by hand. Alright, now go back around by hand, get the areas you couldn't. This is where you kind of round it a little bit more, get a feel for it. Here, get this all in the back. Now you can hit areas you couldn't hit with your sand glove. Get those feathered out. No reason to have extra mud hanging in the area. she is ready for 320 action. It is good enough for 320. But we got our body work done tonight, guys. We don't have to do this now. It's ready for primer after another sanding. Alright, that is one fixed used U-Haul tailgate. And it was aluminum. It was an aluminum tailgate. What we're doing is getting all these areas that we sanded with the 80 grit, getting those all cleaned up. I think we're going to call it a night. The next video with this tailgate, actually tomorrow's video, we're getting the headliner for the Mini. So we're going to get the headliner on the Mini Cooper tomorrow. Well, we're going to call it a wrap tonight. Thank you guys for sticking around and watching me sand this, but we're gonna get this with 320 and get it in primer, and then in the following video, after I do all that behind the scenes, we're gonna get this thing ready for patina. I know you guys are wanting to see it, so we're gonna get that ready. But first off, I gotta get this primer. That way, it's a nice, fresh, new tailgate to work on, nice canvas, and then we're gonna patina this. It's gonna look really good, because it's gonna have Chevrolet stamped into the tailgate, so it's gonna have an old school look to it. So if you guys can, please subscribe and stay to the channel, because I got new content all the time. Like I said, tomorrow we're putting the headliner in that. We're gonna have a video live on that, putting a brand new headliner on it, and I'll walk you guys through how to do that. I've never really done it, so it's kind of a learning experience, but we'll get it on video. But please subscribe to the channel. There's new videos every day. Every day there's new videos, I promise that. I do paint, auto body full time, I'm a painter. So there's a bunch of that, and then this is what I do when I get home. The live videos, but we're gonna get this thing done. We're gonna get primer, and then I'm gonna start getting the patina on there, and you guys will wanna see that. You guys will wanna see that, and it's gonna look really cool. But I'm gonna end the live in a second. Please subscribe to the channel. And this car over here, it's a project that's taking a few videos, but we're getting close to putting the interior back in it. And everything's been gone through, clean. The whole inside of the metal structure, which I got a little bit more to do, has been cleaned. Everything's been cleaned. I put all new clips on the back of it. All new clips, everything's new. So we're putting it all back in the interior, and I want you guys to see it. So stick around and stay out tomorrow to watch that headliner getting put on there live. But I'm gonna end our live stream here tonight. Thank you guys for staying around. Stay tuned for the next one.